Welcome, guys. So I'm here just getting my journal done, like literally. This is my setup right now. I have to take my supplements, but other than that, I've been thinking about the recent events, and now that I have this laptop, I can just kind of get online, and what I do is I search for my places that I get my facts from, the places where I get stories, and places where I can find headlines. Just to be clear and transparent, and I'll write this down. I feel like it's important enough. So, where is a good place for me that I feel like I'm comfortable enough to find stories? So this I will call breaking news. And a place that I always seem to find stories will be TikTok. Now, where is a place where I can find headlines? Where I can always find headlines is CNN. Where can I find facts? I can find facts on Wikipedia. So I gather all these informations. I gather information. I weigh the credibility, and I research. So researching can take time to kind of get your brain. You just gotta focus. You gotta focus. Kind of. Also, you have to probably read up on topic. So all the topics that are covered, you kind of have to be read up already. And stay current. So whatever your focus is, you pick whatever themes within that story, and you weigh the credibility, because the things in the story, if they sound credible, you can start to focus on the meat and potatoes of the story. And the reason why you need to focus is because you need to be up to date. You need to be up to speed on the main theme. So whatever it is, it could be politics, sports, it could be anything. And then it goes into a subgroup, right? A subgenre. And then it goes into a category. So it could be like earthquake, weather, and then it'll be national news. Or it'll be, you know, world news, weather news, and then it'll be, you know, tornado. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be current on everything. You have to have already invested enough time. And if you don't have that background, well, then read up on the topic. You see what I mean? If you're not already invested in researching on this subject matter, you need to go back and due diligence and kind of find what is important. What is important in these storylines that have the same focus. And the focus, of course, obviously, is going to be current event. So the current event, whatever unfolded and whatever actually has transpired, would be the focus. The whole, you know, meat and potatoes. So that's how I do things. I always stay on topic. So it's important, don't stray from the topic. Don't distract from your audience. And don't play in the face of the public. Keep everything, keep it real. They want everything as it is. Don't sugarcoat, don't water it down. Don't use tactics like gaslighting to get your point across. You can just simply state what has transpired and get your story out that way. There is no need to play with people. There's no need to kind of dwindle on subgenres within this event. There's no reason why you feel like, you know, you should sensationalize it with other shit. Stay on topic. Stay relevant to, you know, the audience. And always don't distract from the focus. So the focus is the current event. You can talk about the background in which things have unfolded before this all occurred. But never try to sensationalize it into which way could potentially cause toxic, you know, influence or glamorization of, you know, something bad. It could actually have a negative impact on the, how do you say, the themes within could actually potentially spiral out into, you know, unprecedented waters, and in which case it could be out of control. Always remember your audience. Remember your audience. Remember how they have feelings and emotions, and they need the truths, as uncomfortable as they may seem, you know, such as you may feel uncomfortable with the themes in which have transpired. Nonetheless, if that is what you are intending to do, reveal the story as it rolls out. Like I said, stay on topic. And like I always say, the best way for you to remember this is to stay on task. Don't go off into making a whole big ordeal out of it. Don't mock it, and never underestimate your your news. Never underestimate your news. And I'll say this again, never underestimate your news, because 9 times out of 10, if it was important to reveal to the public, it was important to roll this out in current time, and if it's important enough that you need to have perhaps a narrative within this conversation as it unfolds, it's very, very crucial to the people who are watching you, you know, the public, the people who have been affected by it, or even people who are not affected, or people who didn't even realize that it was a problem or it had happened, or probably would have never heard the story had you not told it. And that, to me, alone says, you know, what you're doing is important. It's important enough that you need to continue, you know, to be productive in this, you know, journaling of current events. And I think for me, that's what I like, you know, that's like the basis of what I like to do. This is what I personally like to do. Now, I have worked for other people. I have worked for other companies. And maybe things don't happen that way. Maybe things don't roll out that way as far as my task. So, you know, I think that's why this journal is so important to me, because it's me. It's just me. It's me. It's our news. Now I'm looking right here because there was this incident that happened in Dallas. And like I said, online, I always find little things. Now, before they were talking about this event had happened, to which it was like a man entered high school. Now it's not so much that. Let's see if I can find it on here. I can find it on here. It's right here. Wilmer Hutchins High School in Dallas, Texas. So this was April 15th. And I'll write that down. April 15th, 2025. Now, just after lunchtime, a 17-year-old entered the building. He was armed. and had been let in by a student in how do you say, in a side entrance. So either it was a back entrance or a side entrance. And it says that, now this is kind of strange. So alumni gave interview stating the shooter had played dice with several of the students. The suspect, losing all his money, entered the building with intent. He gunned, I think there was 4 students down during the rampage. He fled the scene. By the time cops arrived, he made it out. It is alleged he basically hitchhiked probably home using 2 drivers whom also gave interview stating they would have otherwise never, they would have never believed nor would they have ever been suspicious of shooter. So their interaction was a fair and decent interaction with him. They didn't question why he needed a ride. Why does Minor need a ride? They didn't question. Apparently, that's normal over there. I don't know how. What happened after that was that shooter called on a community response team leader to do the exchange. Because he wanted to turn himself in. Understanding the gravity of the crime. And felt he needed to you know, to like, how do you say, he needed to be peacefully arrested and without incident. Do you guys think that's weird? Now, this campus had actually already seen a school shooting before, like a year before. And so people are kind of upset because, like, I in fact feel like, why aren't you listening to us? Where is the police presence? Do you remember what was it called? Was it Parkdale or Park, something like that, Parkville or something like that? This Florida incident, and people were like, you know, the police need to be held accountable or whatever. And right now, like, I can tell you right now, Dallas takes these things too lightly. If you remember, there was another Texas shooting that actually called for the entirety of the police force to be investigated in a serious fashion. It wasn't just a thorough investigation, you know, after incident, which is like protocol. It was an actual thing where they wanted to fire several of the heads of the station there, the substation there, and you know, it's I think it's a continued investigation. So, you know, I feel like the kids are the ones who suffer, and you know, I want it to be a safe place for them to feel like they can succeed, they can, you know, have a proper education, and they are worthy of having a proper education. They're, you know, they're not just a nuance, you know, because of their age. You know, it would be ageist to think that. I think that see, it has April 2024 shooting. It says a 17-year-old, again, a 17-year-old student was involved in an incident in the AM, April of last year. The suspect, Jacarian Rhodes Ewing, shot a child in the leg because he had been the victim of that person the day prior. He had been beat up. Now they have metal detectors, by the way, so like, you know, it's not the school. It's not the school. They're trying, you know. And if anything, it would be the school needs to implement more community action, and the substations, the sheriff's office, and probably all the community activists, you know, as far as that deal with police forces. I think they should be all on board with trying to crack down on violence in not just residential areas, but areas in which our, you know, our institutions for education are built on, like all those little, you know, areas, the perimeter, you know, it should be highly patrolled by now if this is going on. Let's see. Yeah, it says the side door was open to a Tracy Haynes Jr. I'll write his name down too. That way, you know, his name is Tracy Haynes Jr. Tracy Haynes Jr., 17-year-old shooter. So it says that, yeah, he asked him for a ride. So these are true. These aren't just like rumors. Yeah, he's turned himself in. He's got a bond. And it says right here that he targeted a specific student, and obviously it doesn't say why, but there was a dispute. And also they're saying that the kid that let him in student is suspect as well. He wasn't named, but he is being investigated as well. Probably an accomplice, aiding and abetting. It could be a guilt by association, but that's what we have. And so, I mean, then you have another one incident, and this one is even more crazier, because I was just off TikTok watching this video. That went viral, involving Starbucks, of all things. Like, you know, campus lifestyle. Everybody thinks Starbucks is luxury, so I don't know how true that is. And I'll write down, let's see, history. Let me see. Like, I'll write down that stuff too, but I feel like it's a little bit off topic, but also it's kind of still, you know, like it's still important, it's still relevant. Here we go. And we'll see how many truths are found in here. So I'll click on, here's CNN or MSN. It's kind of the same. So it says Thursday. So this is Florida State. Can you guys see? University. Shooting. And this is Thursday. And I'll write April, what was it, April 17th or something? 25. So this makes more sense here because when they were giving the news, they said that, like, basically the one suspect was taken down by the police with bullets, right? So when they're telling the story, they're sensationalizing it, saying that, oh, well, the cops shoot out with the suspect, and there was the suspect, one suspect ended up dying of his, upon impact, right? And they're like, but when they say one suspect, they're alluding to there are several people on campus, which scares the crap out of me as parent. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just, this is too much, guys. Like, you're doing extra. You don't need to do all that. Like, you're saying suspect died of gunfire in a shootout with the cops. Like, actually, that didn't happen. It's saying right here, a suspect might have been shot during his arrest, but it was just protocol to which he was active shooter. Police responded with retaliatory gunfire. It's not what that big deal sensationalized headline was saying, That's just ridiculous. So why can't you just state the facts and let us do our own thinking with our own brain? And, if we still fucks with you, well, you still got a reader. I mean, at this point, whoever wrote, there was like 3 of them that wrote crazy stuff like that. Like, miss me next time you have news to tell, because it's 9 times out of 10 gonna be fake news. Like, who does that? So, I mean, we'll start with his name is Phoenix Ickner, 20 years old. And it says that he was stepson of Leon County Sheriff. Former FSU alumni, allegedly. So all these things are important, but, the importance to reader, I'm not too sure. But I for sure want to mark that, because those are like little bits of information that, are real at this point in time, that give insight to the story and kind of tell you, hey, he knew where he was going, he knew what he was doing, he weighed out the consequences, because he knew the security, he knew that there would be consequence, and he knew the whole layout of the campus. That's why little tidbits are important. Miss me with all the fuckery, scaring, fear-mongering people. So it says 5 people were injured. When gunmen opened fire on campus grounds. He began his rampage on the courtyard. And he stuck to I think he stuck to certain spots. So, and randomly, no, it says he randomly entered buildings and also randomly fired upon students. So he, it says that he has an arts degree from Tallahassee State College, because he was, as soon as winter, he was still attending FSU. And they're claiming that he has racial biased ideologies that he expressed at his schools. And now we are have found, as of today, 2 kitchen staff members succumbed to their injuries, making 2 the current death toll. So at first everybody was watching, because it was 3 critically wounded, but they were only counting students, so I don't understand how many were actually hit. Let's see if this article has any. It says there was 7 were injured. Okay, 7 were injured. This including the suspect, whom after it says that he fired 15 rounds indiscriminately for 20 to 30 seconds. So that's how he was doing this. First shot was fired at 12, and I believe by like 12:15. Because this alert was at 12:19. So this is kind of like not everything that I wanted to find. So I can just look up timeline. Here's one. It says how it unfolded, that he was lingering in the parking lot. 12, he started shooting randomly. It says they had shelter in place alert by 12:19, and also they had at 12:01 it says they had a first alert, second alert at 12:19, and also they had evacuated the buildings by then. It says 12:39 they got another one. So an hour later, the president responded. He called it horrible. Yeah, and then an hour after that, all events at FSU were canceled. At 3, the alert system had concluded. And 4, there was a press release, a police presser. And an hour after that, they said that they had 6 patients at a hospital. One hospital, and that one hospital, everybody was fair condition. Anyways, whom after after being confronted by police, was shot and then arrested. It's already detained. And then I'll go back to what his situation is. It says, yeah, everything was canceled, and the suspect, yeah, he was the stepson of a Leon County Sheriff Office deputy, which was in fact a female, she was a service woman, a woman of uniform. So it says he changed his name in 2020. He used to be at birth named Christian Gunnar Erickson. So it says his name change at 2020 from Christian, and this is important because you never know, Gunnar Erickson. I mean, he is like trained in shooting, how do you call it, marksmansmith. So, I mean, it says that he came from a broken home where there was travesty, and he lived in Tallahassee most of his life. It talks about his mother as an immigrant from Norway. And his mother actually, I think she parental kidnapped him. So that was kind of like messy, his childhood. His mother, what did it say? His father, during that time that he was taken by his mother, it says that he told the police that he had disabilities. So he had health and mental issues. And he takes medicine for that. Why is this important? Because obviously he is now going to be persecuted. Obviously for the fullest extent of the law, because this was involving a school. When it involves children, like our kids, like our youth. I'd say our youth because it's college, and ageist people always are like, no, abortion and numbers are important and whatever. These are still somebody's kids, right? They're still human beings, right? So our youth, the future of America, are important enough that when we see a school shooting, whether it's grade school or secondary, we, take to task these operatives. And it just says also that he was a extremist. So they do find many people, including his peers, have divulged his extremist behaviors, and he is being exposed for racial bias and ideologies that are extreme as well. So he was not a very pleasant person to go to school with, to begin with. So let's see. I can't even remember what I was looking at right now. This really took me to task, finding the correct, like the correct kind of rundown of what these two alone entailed. But I also did want to bring up the fact that Russia declared ceasefire until Monday in observance of Easter holiday, which have all now been broken. And were not utilized, I guess, as far as peace treaty is concerned. So that didn't stay. I just kind of wanted to give you guys some news and get y'all up to speed on things. And kind of tell you guys, if you see anti-government stuff, just know anti-government is recruiting in guise of demonstrations and protests. The truth behind is dissent. Don't fall for it. They are cracking down, just so you know. And thank to heavens they are, because like I said, we have this orphan, and he is a minor, so don't fall for it. And thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. My son, different. Bye-bye.